speaking of Baker, he comes into week 3 as the #1 quarterback in all of fantasy football. One of the few quarterbacks whose start has really surprised some folks. So as we do some projections here for some quarterbacks in week 3, Florio, what do we expect for Bake?
I'm not doubting Baker Mayfield, not after the finish he had last year and the start so far this year. 24 fantasy points. That is a big number, but Baker Mayfield has been the QB1 2 weeks in a row through the first 2 weeks of the season. This projection has 3 passing touchdowns. His passing yardage hasn't been super high, but he's throwing for touchdowns in the red zone as the Bucs struggle to really run the ball. That's led to Baker Mayfield running for at least 20 yards in each of his games this year. We saw him get a rushing touchdown last year. So I think he puts up some yardage with his legs, some yardage with his arms, and then 3 passing touchdowns, which leads to a huge fantasy day.
The way he was wrecking people's ankles, you should call him Breaker Mayfield.
Oh, I like that.
Derek Carr. Apparently there's a thing on the internet. Election year Derek Carr is a thing, right? What is he doing this week?
All right. Well, I have him for throwing a pair of touchdowns and getting around 250, somewhere like that. This would be assuming the passing touchdowns are worth 6 points. It's always confusing. I don't know. They're like, whatever it is. 250, 2 touchdowns, which is kind of in line what he's been able to do so far this season with the New Orleans Saints. One of the things that I love about Clint Kubiak's offense is the simplicity. A lot of 2 receiver sets. They run out a number of tight ends, which really protects the quarterback. And then when Derek Carr, if he gets into trouble, he's got to dump off to Alvin Kamara. So I think that 2 touchdown passes is a doable option for him and around 250. And that means that Alvin's going to be running some as well.
All right, we got Jaden Daniels on Monday night against the Bengals. Let's give him 16 points here. That's because I'm not projecting a touchdown. It obviously goes up if he's able to get into the end zone. Look, I don't necessarily know that he puts up big passing numbers, especially now that Cam Taylor-Britt apparently is on to what the Commanders are doing. We saw him last week talk about Xavier Worthy, and he shut him down. Now that he is apparently putting out there what Cliff Kingsbury's doing with this offense, I don't know that it bodes well, but I think the rushing yards keep Daniels afloat this week.
I'm going to need that number to be a lot higher. I have him on a ton of fantasy teams. I don't have Trevor Lawrence, which is a good thing because I don't think he's going to have a huge game. Got him projected for about 14 fantasy points, which would be his best fantasy day of the year so far. I think he throws a touchdown, that about 250 yards with a touchdown and interception and a couple yards on the ground. Kendall spoke about it earlier. The Bills' secondary really is the strength of this team. So of their defense, at least, I expect a lot of Travis Etienne in this one. And yeah, if Lawrence has another day like this, you could probably throw him back to the waiver wire.
I'm going to go with Gino Smith's season average of right around 17 fantasy points. It's what he's been able to do. He's been very efficient with the ball, even with the change in the coaching staff and everything that's gone on there. Not only is Shane Waldron gone, but Dave Canales is in Carolina. No Pete Carroll, who's an underrated quarterback whisperer during his career, both at USC and at Pro. But I think Gino Smith gets right around 17 fantasy points.
Very quietly having a good start to his season, Gino Smith. Hasn't gotten talked about maybe a ton.